I ran for this office to rebuild our economy so it works not just for the fortunate few. But for everybody who's willing to work hard in this country to create good jobs that can support a family, to get wages growing and incomes rising. To improve the quality of America's schools and lift up great community colleges like this one so that people are constantly learning. Constantly retraining for the jobs of the 21st century. To make higher education affordable for the children of working families and, yes, to deal with the problem of runaway health. Insurance costs that are breaking family budgets and breaking business budgets and breaking our national budgets. Now, since this has been in the news a little bit this week, let me say a little something about healthcare. I had no illusions when I took this on that this was going to be hard. 7 presidents had tried it. Seven Congresses had tried it and all of them had failed. And I had a whole bunch of political advisors telling me this may not be the smartest thing to do. You've got a lot on your plate, the biggest economic crisis since the Great Depression, 2 wars. You may not get a lot of cooperation. You're going to have a lot of pushback from the insurance. Companies and the drug companies. It's complicated. Don't do it. Now, let me tell you why I did it. I knew that insurance premiums had more than doubled in the past decade. I knew that out-of-pocket expenses had skyrocketed. I knew that millions more people had lost their insurance. And I knew that because of that economic crisis that was only going to get worse. when you lose 7 million jobs, like we lost over the last 2 years. What do you think happens to those folks' health insurance? What happens when their COBRA runs out? I took this up because I wanted to ease the burdens on all the families. And small businesses that can't afford to pay outrageous rates. And I wanted to protect mothers and fathers and children by being targeted by some of the worst practices. Of the insurance industry that I had heard time and time again as I traveled through this country. Now, let me dispel this notion that somehow we were focused on that. And so, as a consequence, not focused on the economy. First of all I think about is how we're going to create jobs in this area. All I think about is how do we get banks lending again. I've been doing that the entire year. So have folks like Sherrod and Marcy and Betty. But what I also know is that healthcare is part of the drag on our economy. It's part of the eroding security that middle-class families feel. So here's the good news, we've gotten pretty far down the road. But I've got to admit, we had a little bit of a buzzsaw this week. Now, I also know that part of the reason is that this process was so long and so drawn out. This is just what happens in Congress. I mean, it's just an ugly process. You're running headlong into special interests, and armies of lobbyists. And partisan politics that's aimed at exploiting fears instead of getting things done. And then you've got ads that are scaring the bejesus out of everybody. And the longer it take, the uglier it looks. So I understand why people would say, boy. I'm not so sure about this, even though they know that what they got isn't working. And I understand why, after the Massachusetts election, people in Washington were all in a tizzy. Trying to figure out what this means for health reform, Republicans and Democrats. What does it mean for Obama? Is he weakened? Is he, oh, how's he going to survive this? That's what they do. But I want you to understand, this is not about me. This is not about me. This is about you. This is not about me, this is about you. I didn't take this up to boost my poll numbers. You know the way to boost your poll numbers is not do anything. That's how you do it. You don't. Offend anybody. I'd have real high poll numbers. All of Washington would be saying, what a genius. I didn't take this on to score political points. I know there are some folks who think if Obama loses, we win. But you know what? I think that I win when you win. That's how I think about it. So if I was trying to take the path of least resistance, I would have done something a lot easier. But I'm trying to solve the problems that folks here in Ohio and across this country face every day. And I'm not going to walk away just because it's hard. We are going to keep on working to get this done with Democrats. I hope with Republicans anybody who's willing to step up. Because I'm not going to watch more people get crushed by costs or denied care they need by insurance company bureaucrats. I'm not going to have insurance companies click their heels and watch. Their stocks skyrocket because once again there's no control on what they do. So long as I have some breath in me, so long as I have the privilege of serving as your president. I will not stop fighting for you. I will take my lumps, but I won't stop fighting to bring back jobs here. I won't stop fighting for an economy where hard work is rewarded. I won't stop fighting to make sure there's accountability in our financial system. I'm not going to stop fighting until we have jobs for everybody. That's why I'm calling on Congress to pass a jobs bill to put more Americans to work building off our Recovery Act. Put more Americans back to work rebuilding roads and railways. Provide tax breaks to small businesses for hiring people. Offer families incentives to make their homes more energy efficient, saving them money while creating jobs. That's why we enacted initiatives that are beginning to give rise to a clean energy economy. That's part of what's going on in this community college. If we hadn't done anything with the Recovery Act, talk to the people who are building wind turbines and solar panels. They would have told you their industry was about to collapse because credit had completely frozen. And now you're seeing all across Ohio some of the state has received more funds. than just about anybody in order to build on that clean energy economy new cutting edge. Wind turbines and batteries that are going to be going into energy efficient cars. Almost $25 million of our investment went to a plant right here. In Illyria that's helping produce the car batteries of the future. That's what we're going to keep on doing for the rest of 2010 and 2011 and 2012. Until we've got this country working again. So long as I'm president, I'll never stop fighting for policies that will help restore home values. To redeem the investment that folks have made. We've seen some of those values return in some places, in some pockets, but it's still tough out there. We're going to have to do more this year to make sure that banks are responsive to folks who are working hard. Have been paying their mortgage, but have found themselves in a tough situation. I'm not going to stop fighting to give our kids the best education possible to take the tens of billions of dollars we pay banks to act as middlemen on student loans and invest that money in students who actually need it. We don't need the middlemen, cut them out. I won't stop fighting to give every American a fair shake. That's why the very first bill I signed into law was the Lilly Ledbetter Act to uphold the principle of equal pay for equal work for men and women alike, especially when families need 2 paychecks to survive. So long as I'm president, I won't stop fighting to protect you from the kinds of deceptive practices we've seen from some in the financial sector. That's why I signed a credit card bill of rights into law. To protect you from surprise charges and retroactive rate hikes and other unfair rules. That's why I'm fighting for a tough consumer financial protection agency to protect you against those. Hidden overdraft fees that can make a single ATM withdrawal cost $30. That happened to you, didn't it? I won't stop fighting to open up government. Now, this is hard to do because we don't control every branch. But I can tell you we have put in place the toughest ethics laws and toughest transparency rules of any administration in history. In history. By the way, this is the first administration since the founding of the country where all of you can find out who visits the White House. First time in history. And that's just one example of how we're trying to constantly open the process. And so long as I'm president, I won't stop fighting to cut waste and abuse in Washington to eliminate what we don't need, to pay for what we do. To rein in exploding deficits that we've been accumulating not just last year but for the last 10. And I'm going to keep on fighting for real, meaningful health insurance reform. We expanded the children's health insurance program to include 4 million kids. We already did that. But we are also going to fight to hold the insurance industry accountable. To bring more stability and security to folks who are in our healthcare system. And, yes, I want to make sure that people who don't have health care right now can get some. It's shameful that we don't do that.